Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Monday, October 2nd, and the new transit begins tomorrow on Tuesday, October 3rd. So this transit report is going to focus on the transit that starts tomorrow. And if you want to see what's going on today, you can go and watch last week's transit report to get all the details on that. And we've got a super important transit starting tomorrow, so I can't wait to dive in. Here we go. So the sun is going to move into the gate 48 and the earth is going to move into the gate 21. These two gates I know very well because they're in my incarnation cross as well. We're exactly opposite the year from my birthday. And so usually during my birthday, the sun is in the 21 and the earth is in the 48. And right now it's reversed because we're 6 months apart. And that's how the sun moves around the human design mandala over the course of the year. And if you haven't already watched the introductory video that goes with these, go ahead and check that out here because I go into some depth in terms of talking about what's happening and why the transits are the way they are and why we're following what we're following. And I think that that'll really help you to get grounded in the significance of this. So the sun in the gate 48 continues our journey through the logic circuit. In the transit that is happening today and has been going on, we have been in the logic circuit with the gate 18 and the gate 17, and now we're moving into the gate 48. So the 48 is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. It is called depth or the well in traditional human design and in the I Ching, and it's called wisdom in quantum human design. So this is a beautiful energy for research, for digging deeply into things, for appreciating and reflecting upon and integrating your life experience. Because how do we get to wisdom? Wisdom is not data. It's not information. It's not even knowledge. Wisdom is when we have lived with something long enough and we have really kind of been in the trenches with it so that whatever information we've gotten, whatever data we've gotten, whatever knowledge we've learned from other people, we've really run it through our own lives so that we have a kind of a deep sense of what's true for us. Now, I say that this is something we need to do all the time with human design. If you've had a reading with me already, you probably heard me say this, and I probably have said it in other videos, which is that I am the expert on human design, right? I have spent years learning, getting certified in quantum human design and human design, and so I've done that work, and then I've also been doing readings, and probably a couple thousand by now. I don't know. I haven't actually counted, but it's a lot, right? So for me, that's how I've developed some wisdom around human design because I have worked with it. I live it every day. I use it as a tool for me in my daily life. So I would consider myself an expert in human design and an expert in even living human design in your own life. But you are the expert on you. I am not the expert on you. And I think it's really important that anything I say or any other human design expert or really anybody, anything that you're hearing from outside of yourself, you're just going to run through your own inner wisdom to get a sense as, is this true for you? And is it true for you now? Right? Is it important? Is this something that is actionable or something that is transformative or something that's going to uplift you or show you a new perspective, right? Those things are all really important. And yes, sometimes we do have resistance to growth. We're like, oh, gosh, that's so new. That's so different. I know when I first came to human design many years ago, I dismissed it because the idea that I was here to respond and not initiate was so counter to my self-concept that I was resistant to it and I walked away. So I don't want that to happen for you for human design. So you do want to make sure that you're looking at your resistance and saying, can I keep an open mind and see what could be of value for me here? But even so, your wisdom, you've grown out of your life experience. I am providing, information for you and knowledge that I have developed and my own wisdom. I am offering that to you, but I would never tell you who you are or what's important to you or what you should do with your life. When I do readings for people, I do not do that. I'm much more of a guide and a facilitator. I like to open possibilities. I like to open potentials. I like to point out things and say, hey, have you ever explored this? Have you ever looked at that? And a lot of times there's parts of the definition of somebody's chart that they don't know about, that they never really explored, or they rejected as a child because it didn't fit with their familial and their cultural conditioning. Happens all the time. So it is helpful to have a sounding board like me to help you with your human design. And I always want to emphasize that your wisdom is primary, your inner wisdom. And ultimately, human design as a system, as a philosophy, always leads you back to your own inner wisdom, your own inner authority. And everybody has a different inner authority depending on what's happening in your design. So I'm not going to go into authority right now, but what I do want to emphasize is the significance of you owning your own wisdom, of you owning your own life experience and how you can sort through if things are useful to you or not. So the Gate 48 can help you in terms of owning your wisdom, taking a few minutes to really kind of look at, wow, what are all the things that you have experienced in your life, the things that you've learned, the choices that you've made, the mistakes that you've made and what you learned from that, right? The conflicts you've had with people and what you learned from that, like all of it, right? All of it is our experience through life's journey, right? In the earth school, as some people say, right? We are here to learn and to grow, and human design is a great tool for that, a great ally for that. But ultimately, it always comes back to you. So while the sun is lighting up that Gate 48, it's a wonderful time to be digging into things, learning things that you want to know more about. And also, like I said, really developing your wisdom by reflecting on what you have learned from the outside and seeing how it resonates with what you really feel to be true on the inside. And then the sun in the Gate 48 is resting on the earth in the Gate 21. So the Gate 21 is tribal circuitry, so it's not logical and it's not analytical in that way. So it is known in traditional human design as either the treasurer, which is what we have on this image here, or control, which is its really kind of shadow state. And then self-regulation is the new term in quantum human design. So let's unpack this a little bit. The 21 is on the will center, and so it's associated with value and with money and with worthiness. And that's part of the reason that it's been called the treasurer. When I was first learning of it, so this is where my sun is, where my conscious sun is in the 21. So I know this energy really well, and I've been exploring it for a long time and seeing, because when I first came across it, I was like, really? And I didn't really feel related to it in a way that felt empowering to me. The reason for that is that this was first introduced to me as kind of like the CEO of a company. And I have been a project manager. I have run an academic program. I have been, the director of organizations. I have done all of that kind of stuff. And I'm good at it. I actually have the facility for it, but I did not really relate, and I don't feel like it's my highest expression. I don't feel like it's the thing that I'm most lit up and here to do. But I do feel like it is a faculty that's super important to me. So as I explored it more, and when Karen Curry Parker renamed it self-regulation in quantum human design, I was like, okay, I wonder what this is about. And the way that she talks about it is that it's about the ability to regulate resources, which is one version of a treasurer, right? Which is located in the financial realm. But it's like being able to regulate resources beginning with yourself. Now that makes sense to me. And it's true. I have a lot of intense energy. And so I've had to learn through the course of my life really to learn how to regulate my own energy, both to protect myself so that I don't overdo, because I have a history of burnout and kind of overdoing it, but also so that I am monitoring my energy in relation to other people, because my energy can get really big and I want to be respectful and honoring of other people. So looking at how do I regulate myself in different situations, that has been really helpful to me. And so you might want to try that out for yourself. If you haven't been really stewarding your energy well enough, like if you're not getting enough sleep, or if you're spending too much time doing things that are draining to your energy, whether that's people pleasing or being in some dysfunctional way on social media or on devices. Of course we spend our lives this way, but there are ways to do it that are more where we can regulate our energy better, and others that are more draining. So just checking out those things for yourself. Those are all really important inquiries for us to have. And while the earth is lighting up that 21, it is definitely something to take a look at. But as I was writing my forthcoming book, Feminine Sovereignty, 8 Pillars for Regenerating Ourselves and Our World, which will be out on November 2nd, and the pre-sale starts on October 19th. So stay tuned for that. You'll be hearing more about it. So when I was writing that book, pillar number 8 is about becoming the sovereigns of our planet that our world is so desperately calling us to be. It's about being able to step out of our kind of self-absorption about our own personal growth, so that we can be change agents in the world in the areas of life that matter the most to us. So stewardship is something that's really kind of coming up to the fore, because we're realizing that we have not been stewards of our planet, right? And that we have, in many places, clear-cut forests, even though they are the lungs of the planet, right? And we've thrown a lot of plastic and toxins into the ocean, even though the oceans are the source of all life. Like we've done things that have not been that smart if we stop and pay attention. So we've not been well stewarding our planet, which means really to care for, to have an ethic that it is my responsibility, our responsibility, to be taking care of this living world that takes care of us. And so I was really digging into that, into Pillar 8, and looking at a lot of different indigenous worldviews from people in different parts of the world, but largely in North America, for us to kind of get back in touch with this ethic of care for the planet and not see it as something that we can dominate and exploit and extract from endlessly with no consequences, which is kind of how we've been, especially the last couple hundred years. So what is the alternative? Well, I really came up to the gate 21, because the gate 21 is, if you go and think of this in a tribal environment, because again, this is tribal energy. It is the kind of leadership, leading into the leadership of the 45 of the tribal circuit. So this is about the collective, not the big collective in the sense of the global, right, which is what collective energy is about. But it is about this on the tribal level, okay? And so the idea that this is just about self-regulation does not seem complete to me. I'm not saying that I think that's inaccurate, but I only think it's part of the story, because in a tribal environment, we're talking about what's good for everybody, not just what's good for the individual. And this is really the kind of dance that I walk with inside of the Book of Feminine Sovereignty, because on the one hand, we do need to build our own inner power to become strong and healthy, resilient, resourced, right? To be able to know how to take good care of our energy and our physical bodies and our connection to spirit and our energy sense in terms of our emotions. Like that's all really vital, right? For us to be fully functioning, adults. But if we only stay focused on the individual and not on our relationship to the tribe, then we're not fully sovereign, because sovereign is always in part about our relationship with other people, right? You can't really be a sovereign on your own. Right? That's not what a sovereign is. A sovereign is about being in relationship with others, as well as being in relationship with all the others we have who live inside of us. And yes, there's whole villages that live inside of us. That is true. But I think you get what I'm talking about. So for me, the 21 really became stewardship. Because if you even think of like kind of the feudal world, that this idea of the treasurer and the king or the queen, which is what the 2145 is in traditional human design. If we think about that, the steward is the one who manages the estate. The steward is the one that makes sure everything is functioning. It's kind of like that CEO I was talking about before, right? But if we want to evolve that steward of the feudal world, right, which is living in a hierarchical society where, you've got aristocracy or royalty or what up here, and then you've got the stewards who are serving them, right? We're re-evaluating this and evolving it to be more horizontal. And then in that case, we all become stewards. We all become stewards. We have the potential to become stewards of our planet. And each one of us can find places in our lives where we can steward things, more better, right? So not just sustainably, but also in a way that helps regenerate and heal our planet. And so for me, that's what the 21 is about. It's certainly become that for me. I feel like when I embrace that on top of self-regulation, right, making sure that I'm being a good steward of my own energy, for me to be like, wow, I can just step into being a steward of our planet in some way, right? It doesn't have to be grandiose. But for example, I really well steward all of the different things in my environment to the best of my ability. And I also look for ways that I can collaborate with others to be able to participate in ways where we are together stewarding our planet, right? And so there's different organizations that are doing that. I'm fortunate enough to live in a place where there's a lot of different activity of that kind around me. And my invitation to you is, while the earth is calling out for stewardship here, right? The earth is going to be lighting up the 21. And it's really like, how can you step into another level of care for our planet during this time? And if this whole thing inspires you, I hope that you will come and check out my book, and you'll be able to get the Kindle version for free on November 2nd if you want to do that. And of course, that'll be beneficial for me for my book launch as well. So just closing here, I would say that really grounding yourself in this sense of, how do I steward my own energy? How do I steward the resources in my own environment? Right? Do I make sure to turn off lights when I'm not in the room? Do I unplug, appliances when I don't need them anymore? Am I doing any water catchment? What am I doing with the water? Of course, I live in California, so water is a big issue, but it's becoming a really big global issue also, right? Just what is it that you can be doing, right? I always want to buy from local farmers because they're helping to steward the planet. So looking for the places where you can do that. And there's big lists in my books that you can have soon. And then, how are you developing your wisdom in this area? How is grounding yourself in this sense of connection to the planet and to the living world? How is that going to give you a different basis for you to be developing wisdom in the areas of life that are meaningful to you? So that is the opportunity that's starting for you in the transit that starts tomorrow. And I also want to remind you that this Thursday is the first Thursday of the month. So it is Ask Me Anything inside of our Becoming Sovereign Quantum Retreat Center. And I encourage you to come and join us. And if you want to ask me a question, you want any coaching from me, then you'll need to make sure that you get me your chart ahead of time. Okay, so directions for that will be down in the description. All right, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.